Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And we got a full house as we break down Wild Card Weekend, Monday Night Football edition, the divisional round. We're going to give you our preview and predictions. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We are currently live on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Huddle Sports Network. You can find that on all your Roku-enabled devices. So continue checking us out here at Prime Sports World, especially if you like what we do here. And I'm joined by an epic panel today. I'm David Huffman, right there from the Daily Blitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson, TJ Hopkins, my co-host, and my other co-host, Mr. Matthew James. Welcome into the show, my friends. Welcome into 2025. Me and TJ, did a show together last week and yesterday, but I don't think I did a show with Christian yet in 2025, unless I'm just forgetting, which I probably am because I do forget things. So what's up, guys? How's everybody?
Doing well. How are you guys?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Hold on a second, just real quick. We're here to talk about Monday Night Football. We're here to talk about the divisional round. Let's first start with Monday Night Football, the divisional wild card edition, and let's talk about the beatdown of the Minnesota Vikings at the hands of the Los Angeles Rams as they go on to win this game 27-9. And I know this final score was 27-9, but this game was not even that close. Sam Darnold had one of his worst performances of his career in a moment where he really needed to shine. We'll see what ends up happening now with his free agency pending, what kind of contract he's going to end up getting. Just kind of hate to see that form after having such a strong season to have two duds when you needed to have them the most. But Sam Darnold, 25 of 40, one touchdown, one pick. He also had a fumble, scoop and score in this game. Aaron Jones, 13 of 48. T.J. Hawkinson had the lone touchdown for the Minnesota Vikings. As they were just really could never get anything going on offense and couldn't sustain anything. On the other side, Matthew Stafford, 19 of 27 and two touchdowns. Kyren Williams, 16 for 76. A really quiet day at the office for Cooper Kupp, but it made up with Kyren Williams and Davis Allen, the backup tight end, after Tyler Higbee was out with an injury early in this game. His Rams just dominated from wire to wire. They score on their opening possession, and they never looked back.
Yeah, the Rams, took over from the get-go in that, especially, it had to be played, down the street in Glendale, Arizona, at the Cardinals Stadium. But, the first half was all the Rams, and from there it still was. They shut down the Vikings in every aspect, and Stafford, controlled the game. And that's exactly what they needed to do against the Vikings.
They didn't have to do anything. They really didn't have to. Everybody wants to blame Sam Darnold and see, this is why you can't trust Sam Darnold. It's like, dude, this defense gave up 24 points before he could breathe.
Yeah.
What are we
Yeah, that's true.
One of those touchdowns was a scoop and score, which is really not points against the defense, but
yeah.
But they gave up 17 points.
Okay,
in the first half.
So 17 points in the first half, and me personally, they screwed the Vikings on on their own scoop and score, because you cannot sit here and convince me that was a forward pass by Matthew Stafford. His head is he's looking at the ground and he just flicks the ball away. And it's that should have been I'm not saying it would have made the outcome different, but your strategy going forward from that moment absolutely changes everything, because at that point it's a tie game. It's 10-10.
Yeah.
And that was not that was just me personally, that was bad officiating on that part. But
I think when you officiate something like that, maybe by the rule of the law, that's a forward pass. But at some point, common sense has to kind of take over. And there's no way he was throwing that. That's a fumble.
No, that's
he wasn't even by the letter of the rule, on the absolute letter of the NFL rule book. That was probably it was a forward pass, but by the eye test, you look at that, there's no way he was he was throwing that away. It was a fumble. It should have been a Vikings.
Bare minimum, David, that's intentional grounding.
Not quite, because he had a wide receiver that was right there.
but he's not looking at him, bro. Like he's
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's trash.
How many times have you seen like a wide receiver, a running back, a quarterback just throw a duck at the feet of an offensive player who's not looking, and they don't call that as
but that's intentional. Like that's like I'm like this is not like that's intentional. Like Matthew Stafford is literally in the arms of somebody, and he's looking at the ground. You really mean to tell me like he's looking at the ground? Like, oh, that receiver's right there.
It doesn't matter.
Come on.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's trash.
No, there was a wide receiver in the vicinity. It should have been a scoop and score touchdown for the Vikings, but they didn't call it that way. They reversed the call. I mean, on top of that, this offensive line just really didn't show up. I mean, giving up 9 sacks in this game for 82 yards. You can't win a game if your quarterback's getting sacked 89 times for 82 yards. A little bit of that is on Sam Darnold. He held the ball way too long in this game, but I feel like this is the second game in a row where like the secondary of the Rams is not that good. Like they should have been more dynamic on offense and throwing the football down the field. Like we talked about this during the Lions game. Like they just were real conservative on offense and was real head scratching for a majority of the way through. Christian, let me hear what you got to say.
You just said it best. I think the Lions unveiled the blueprint on how to shut down this Minnesota offense. You had to attack them from the interior. You had to attack their interior of their offensive line. Because their guards, in their center wasn't all that good. Look, you notice a lot of the pressure last night was coming from the interior of the defensive line, but the Rams never took their foot off the gas, and this was a relatively easy game for me to decide who was going to win it because I trust Matthew Stafford a lot more than I do Sam Darnold. But yeah, you got to give the Rams defense a lot of credit. They came to play, but I also thought that was a win full of emotion too. Everything that's going on in Los Angeles, you knew this was something that they wanted. And I think I say this on behalf of all of us at this network. We wish everybody who's been impacted by these wildfires the absolute best out there. I couldn't even imagine, being in that situation, but the Rams getting this win, it kind of creates a distraction for all the hard times that's going on out there right now. But yeah, Minnesota, 14 wins, and get it, their 4 losses came to the same team 2 times. They lost to the Rams twice, and they lost to the Lions twice.
Yeah, you said it right. I mean, for LA,
and they got healthy at the right time.
I mean, yeah, because this Ram team was kind of just treading water, and then they got all of their guys healthy, and this team has been on a tear basically since then.
I'll say this. When Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are both on the field together and they're healthy, they're one of the toughest teams to beat, especially when they're both getting the football equally.
Yeah, exactly. Then you got Kyron in the backfield.
This
team just needed to get healthy, and they did, and this is where they're at.
Yeah, and Matt said it best. I also think you got to incorporate Tyler Higbee into the mix as well.
Hopefully that injury he sustained is nothing serious. He was not able to return to that game on yesterday, so hopefully that's not like an injury that's going to prevent him from playing against the Philadelphia Eagles because they're probably going to need his involvement in that passing game. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, they also have Demarcus Robinson, who low-key has never missed the playoffs in his NFL career, not once, which is just wild. He's been in the league for 10 years. Like he's been if Demarcus Robinson's on your football team, you're probably gonna go to the playoffs. Like it's just crazy. But yeah, moving on from this, let's talk first before we move on into the divisional round. Before we close this chapter on the wild card weekend, let's talk about game balls, and I'll let Christian have the floor.
Oh man, I wasn't prepared for this. I thought y'all did this yesterday, but
there was still a game. You know the format. There's still a game. We gotta wait. Come on.
Yeah, this is true.
What do you do here?
Yeah, this is true. I'm giving it to Joe Mixon. 25 carries, 106 yards, and I think he's the igniter of this Houston offense. When he has it going, they're a tough unit.
Matt James.
I'm going to give it to the Houston defense.
I like that.
I like that one.
On, taking over that game when they needed to in the second half.
TJ.
I'm gonna give mine to James Cook. Hey, I understand, like it was Denver, and they didn't have a snowball's chance in hell at winning that game. But James Cook did what he
Yeah.
did on 15 carries, 12, 15 carries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty demoralizing.
Oh yeah.
I'm going with the Rook, Jaden Daniels, 24 of 35, 268 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing, 13 for 36, and also led the team on a game-winning drive. Jaden Daniels gets my game ball. Shout out to him, and shout out to Matt Dice, one of the guys I work with here at Wayne 15. He is a diehard Commanders fan. He was very happy on yesterday when he was at the office. So let me tell you, I've never seen that guy so happy in my entire life. So, but yeah, closing that chapter in the wild card weekend. Let's talk about the divisional, and let's start with Saturday football. 2 teams that were waiting in the waits are now going to play, and the first team on the card is the Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. These 2 teams actually played earlier this season, actually about a month ago-ish or so, December 21st, 2024. The Kansas City Chiefs won that game very handily, 27-19. That game was in Arrowhead. This game will also be in Arrowhead. This is also the game where Tank Dell was injured and lost for the season as a member of the Houston Texans. So we'll see how these things end up shaking out. Matt James, you got the floor. Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans in a rematch of a matchup we saw earlier this season, actually week 16. So about 3 weeks ago or 4.
I mean, I'd love to pick the Texans in this one, but I think the Chiefs will take, control when they need to, and win this, comfortably in the second half.
Christian,
I previewed this one today.
And you can find that preview on dailyblitz.blog.
Absolutely. First unofficial shameless plug.
Yeah.
When they played last time, Chiefs won by 8, 27-19. Houston, what changed their entire dynamic in this game was that botch snap and CJ Stroud finding Nico Collins, and after that, something just clicked for them. And like Matt said, that defense was so opportunistic, and what they did on Saturday, that's what they're going to have to bring to the table this Saturday. You got to throw pressure at Mahomes. But I think the key for the Houston Texans in this game is to attack the Chiefs' offensive tackles, because that's their weakness on this offensive line. And then you're able to bring pressure up the middle. And Nico Collins is going to have to be great in this one. And my X factor for the Chiefs is Xavier Worthy. You got to throw Stroud off his spot. You got to pressure him, hit him, force him to hold on to the ball longer than what he wants. I like the Chiefs at home. They're just going to be too much.
TJ.
To Christian's point, that the tackles for the Chiefs are absolutely their weakness. Now, it's on. I know the referees are going to be under more scrutiny. They're going to be under a really, really, really tight microscope, especially this playoffs, because coming off, especially after what happened in last year's playoffs, because these same 2 tackles are the most penalized tackles in the league for 17 games. Then the 3 biggest games of the year, they not called for a false start or a holding or anything like that. And everybody's like, bro, how are they penalized all season, and then in the 3 biggest games, you ain't calling it? That's that bullshit. It's the same go round. It's the same thing this go round. The officials are going to be under such a microscope that especially that right tackle for the Chiefs, if he lined up 5 yards in the backfield,
Juan Taylor,
and he doing that little kickstart before the ball is even snapping, that's not being called. Hey, y'all gonna catch some hell. But they're not giving the Chiefs. They're not giving the Texans Shannon Sharp said he giving the Texans a milk's chance. That's 2%. They got a 2% chance at winning. And
hopefully it ain't no skim milk. Man,
but at the same time, it's like it's if you're the Chiefs or if you're a fan of football, you're like, hey, referees or not, they got Pat Mahomes and the other side don't. You feel me? So it's gonna take a miracle. I mean, I'm a ride with the Chiefs, but because it's at this point, it's like why bet against them? Why pick against them, especially in this game?
Well,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, they
taking.
got Taylor Swift too. So
I don't care about Taylor Swift. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs, and yeah, all the points you guys made are valid. But let's be serious here. The Kansas City Chiefs are just a better football team than Houston Texans are right now. Given the injuries that the Houston Texans have sustained, especially on the offensive side of the ball, losing their top 2 wide receivers, they just don't have the firepower to compete with the Kansas City. And we've seen Kansas City get better, at least on offense, throughout the season. Xavier Worthy starting to really emerge towards the latter half of this season. This is just a Kansas City Chiefs that's well-oiled and ready to go. I would be legitimately shocked if they don't win by more than 10 points in this game. Period. From there, let's swing into Saturday Night Football, and we got the upstart Washington Commanders going into the Lions' den and taking on them Detroit Lions. Last time these two teams hooked up in a game was actually 2 years ago. Christian, do you remember who won that game 2 years ago? This is the 2022 NFL season. This is week number 2.
The Lions won that game.
The Lions did win that game 36-27. Do you know who the starting quarterback was for the Washington Commanders?
I don't remember.
It's Carson Wentz. They dusted off Carson Wentz, who went 36 of 46 for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he was outdone by Jared Goff, who was put out a virtuoso performance with 256 yards and 4 tutties. And fun fact, the leading rusher for the Detroit Lions on that particular evening or afternoon, whatever day it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, with 2 carries for 68 yards. How do you think this game's going to shake out? I'll let Matt James go first with his analysis.
I'm going to go with Detroit. They're just better all around. I mean, both sides of the football. I mean, Commanders have Jaden Daniels, who's playing well, and he went into the ship and pulled out a victory. But I'm still going with Detroit. I had them in the championship game, so give me Detroit by at least 10.
Christian.
David.
Oh, let's go, baby.
Let's go. On my count.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 1, baby.
Yeah, I was so impressed with the Washington Commanders the other day because anytime Tampa punched, Washington counterpunched them. And they were physical, got the running game going, and anytime they needed a big throw, that rookie quarterback was able to answer the call. Anytime his number was called, he showed up every single time. The Lions, they're 15-2. They have the 1 seed for the first time, and I think this version of the Lions is scarier than last year because they have a year of experience. They kind of remind me of the Bengals. The year they went to the Super Bowl, and then a year later getting back to the AFC title game. I kind of get those Cincinnati feels, but I think they're better than what those Bengals teams were. I preview this one tomorrow. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels offers a very interesting dynamic for this Detroit Lion defense. And they got Scary Terry and they got Zach Ertz. Like they have the firepower in theory, right, to really give the Detroit Lions defense all they can handle, especially a unit that's been banged up all season. Is this finally the weekend where we kind of see that defense kind of crumble a little bit because they've been above expectations with the injury. But I think when it comes down to it, I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think this is going to be one of those games where it comes down to final possession. I think the Washington Commanders are going to give the Lions all they can handle on Saturday evening. But with that being said, I'm going to roll with the Detroit Lions. I just think that they're a better football team. But I would not be surprised even a little bit if the Washington Commanders pulled off the upset in Ford Field. This team is built to travel. They already did it once. They went out to the Pirate Ship. Now, the Ford Field is going to be more raucous than the Pirate Ship was, but I give them a fighter's chance to really pull off the upset, but I'm not going to predict it. I'll take the Lions. TJ.
interesting. Well, I'm not an interesting point, but everybody's thinking the same thing that you are, David. Like at one point in time, at what point in time do the injuries catch up with the Lions? Right, that offense it can't keep like it can't keep this up. Like it's just right. Like eventually, you're just gonna run out of steam. Somebody's gonna have your day, have your number, da da da, woo, all that good stuff. Like we saw it against what was that, Buffalo, right? The defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and they got so bad to the point where they resorted to going for it on fourth down, regardless of the distance and the situation. Hey, it's 4th and 8. That means we need the ball back. Like the defense was so bad that they attempted an onside kick down 14 with like 8 minutes to go, and that kick was returned for a touchdown. And it was like, yep, this shit over with. That being said, like to Christian's point, like Detroit been like they still new here, but they've been here. Like this is a Washington team. Like has any of them really been in the playoffs? This like I think like Jonathan Allen's probably the most tenured dude on the team. Has he been to the playoffs that much?
No, I mean he was on that Commanders team that went with Tyler Heineke as the starting quarterback. I mean they do have a guy in Zach Ertz who caught a game-winning touchdown in that Super Bowl against Tom Brady when he was a member of the Philadelphia Eagles from Nick Foles. But when you go up and down the roster, I mean they also have Bobby Wagner,
Bobby
as
Wagner,
well,
yeah,
who has a ring.
Like outside of what 5 people and a couple coaches, because Dan Quinn been to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
Marcus Mariota, Austin Eckler's been in a playoff game a couple times.
Yeah, Mariota's been to
Jamison Crowder has been in a playoff scenario. KJ Osborne as well. He doesn't play a lot, but Nick Allegretti is coming off of a Super Bowl win. Tyler Biotish, former Dallas Cowboy. Andrew Wiley also has a Super Bowl ring as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. So they have some guys on their roster that have been there and done that, which they've kind of leaned on. Dante Fowler Jr. has a ring with the Rams. Marshawn Lattimore's been in the playoffs. Like they have guys like that have been in playoff situations and played in big moments.
So like the whole notion of they ain't never been here before. It's like that's not also entirely true. It's the only thing I would hate for this. The only thing I'm gonna hate from this outcome either way is the Jaden Daniels Caleb comparisons. I'm picking Detroit to win this game. I just think, like I said, I just think they're more put together. I just think the bond, the chemistry that they have, I think it's more than what Washington can overcome. Plus, like you said, like they're gonna have a hell of a home field advantage.
Yep. Swinging from there, let's swing into Sunday afternoon football. Let's start with the Los Angeles Rams going into Lincoln Financial Field, taking on those Philadelphia Eagles. Last time these two teams played was again earlier this season. Philadelphia Eagles won that game 37-20. That was in week number 12. Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Saquon Barkley, Kyron Williams, everybody that you needed to be there was in this matchup. Philadelphia Eagles cruised to an easy victory, 37-20. TJ, how do you think this shakes out in the divisional round now that we have in this game? The last game was in SoFi Stadium. This one will be at the Lincoln Financial Field, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think defensively, I think this is going to mirror the Packer game. I think this is going to be two defenses that's just really damn good, and I think the only difference is the Eagles got a Saquon Barkley, and the Eagles have a Saquon Barkley. It's like I have one of the ultimate secret weapons, right? If your running back not Derrick Henry, a good plan 1A is Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts, while he wasn't quote unquote bad against the Packers, it's still concerning. because Dan Orlovsky's on national TV. He said like no one was getting open. So if you couldn't get open against the Packer defense, are you really going to get that much more open against the Rams defense? Like this is a Rams defense that's hey they hot right now, bro. Like we literally just saw what they did to a team that won 14 games. They got to them 9 times. And I know Jalen Hurts is way more mobile than Sam Darnold will ever be. But 9 sacks is 9 sacks. I mean, we can't gloss over that. I'm gonna pick the Eagles, but I don't feel good about it.
I'm gonna take the upset. I'm taking the Los Angeles Rams. I think they're playing. They're playing with house money. Not to mention, like this front seven for this Los Angeles Rams team is fantastic. They're going to load up the box. They're going to force. Yes. They're going to force the Philadelphia Eagles to have Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm. He hasn't really been tested in that way this season. I know he's capable. Like obviously, I'm not discrediting the talent, but I think if you're the Rams, like we're gonna bet on Jalen Hurts making a mistake here and there, as opposed to allowing Saquon Barkley to get ahead of steam and really treat us like Swiss cheese. I'm going to take the Rams. Going to do just enough on offense. The Eagles' defense has been very good this season. But as we talked about with in the last one, we talked about the recap. I mean, the Packers and the Eagles played each other very close, down to the wire. Like their stats are eerily similar outside of the 4 interceptions. I did not think Matthew Stafford's going to turn it over 4 times. I don't think he's going to throw 3 picks in this game. Matthew Stafford will be safe with the football. I think the defense has been over its head a little bit, the Eagles. And now that what's his name is out for the season, who was a really important piece on that defense, the kid from Georgia. His name is escaping me right now. Nope, that's not him. It's the other, Jacoby Dean. Thank you. Dean. I'm going to take the Rams in an upset. So I just like what I've seen out of the Rams the last couple. They just play gritty, tough football, and that kind of stuff travels in the playoffs. And I think they're also playing for all their fans back home. You know, everybody that's dealing with stuff in Los Angeles. I think that kind of momentum means something in the NFL. Give me the Rams. Matt James.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Eagles and Ravens from the beginning, and this game scares me. I mean, both y'all, we've been going over this throughout the show with the Rams getting hot in the right place and at the right time and everything going on back home for them in LA. But I'm still going to stick with the Eagles at home in a close one. They're going to need to find a way to get Saquon to,
do what Saquon does.
Pretty much. I mean, Jalen Hurts needs to, control it, not turn the ball over. And so they're not going to get 4 takeaways from Matthew Stafford. He doesn't do that, especially in this type of game. And with his, with the momentum the Rams have right now, give me the Eagles, but in a close one, just because I'm going to stick with my preseason pick.
Christian.
David.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. On my count. 1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 2, baby.
Look, I remember what happened the last time these two teams played. Saquon had his way. I think he had over 275 yards at the line of scrimmage, because I know he went off for 200 rushing, and then I think he tacked on about 75 or 80 yards as a receiver. So the game plan for the Rams is they're going to sit at that line of scrimmage, and like David said, they're going to dare Jalen Hurts to beat them with his arm from the pocket, throw over the numbers. And for the Eagles, it's simple. You got to get the ball in the hands of your best weapon, which is Saquon Barkley. Again, what Derrick Henry is to Baltimore is what Saquon Barkley is to the Philadelphia Eagles. I preview this one on Thursday. Be on the lookout.
Saquon Barkley combined for over 300 yards between in the air and on the ground. So,
Crazy.
Yeah, he also had 2 touchdowns, 255 yards. I think this game was on like Sunday night.
It was.
or something like on Monday night, something like that.
It was a Sunday night. I remember.
Moving on to the final game and the crown jewel of divisional weekend, as we got the Baltimore Ravens going into Orchard Park and going up against Buffalo and the Bills, and the two players that will finish 1 and 2 when it comes to the MVP voting, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, going head to head, sort of, obviously because they play different sides of the ball. But I will say the last time these two teams played was in week 4, and it was an absolute trouncing at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens as they win 35-10. Josh Allen never really got going, and Lamar Jackson was cooking at all cylinders, 13 of 18, 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had 199 yards rushing in this particular game and a touchdown. But Buffalo's been cooking since then. I think they only lost one game outside of that New England game that was end of the season. They've lost one game since that particular matchup. So we got this in the playoffs in Buffalo. The last game was in Baltimore. How do you think this shakes out? Christian, I'll let you have the floor first, and let's talk about that shameless plug, baby. Let's go.
David. Let's wrap this up, man.
Yeah.
On my count, 1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 3, baby.
Listen, I can't wait for this one. This is going to be a movie. I think this is going to be one of the best games we've seen all year long. I really hope it's not a letdown. But you mentioned it, David, in that first meeting in Baltimore, the Bills got their teeth kicked in. I mean, that first play that Baltimore had the ball, what happens? Derrick Henry takes it to the house for 87 yards. And as the game went on, the stronger he got. These are two contrasting styles of football. Baltimore, they want to run it. They want to slow the game down, whereas Buffalo, they want to speed things up. Both teams are different at this point right now. This is gonna be fun. I can't wait to get my hands on this one. I preview it on Friday. Be on the lookout.
I'm not totally sold that these two teams are that different. I think Buffalo is really committed to running the football. And
think about it. But look at it like this, David. Josh Allen is going to take a shot down the field. If the opportunity presents itself, he's going to air the ball out. You can't necessarily say that about Lamar Jackson. This isn't me taking anything away from Lamar, but Derrick Henry is the catalyst of this offense.
Yeah, I mean, true. Josh Allen is the straw that is the engine of the Buffalo offense.
Yeah, he's the keys to the ignition.
And I was actually wrong. Buffalo's actually lost 2 other games besides this one, besides that Ravens game and that Patriot game. They lost to the Houston Texans in the next week in that game that Josh Allen didn't play particularly well. And then they lost to that Rams team in that shootout, 44-42. TJ.
I hate that this game is right now, like this week. Like, it feels like it's too soon for this. It's too soon for this matchup to happen.
Yeah, it's like a Super Bowl, or at least the AFC Championship.
Like, I hate that one of these two teams, like, I hate that one of them got to lose this early. Like, it's not fair. I want like, beginning of the season, I said, I pick Ravens, Lions in the Super Bowl with the Ravens winning it. Give me the Ravens. I just think that, like, Derrick Henry makes that much of a difference. And he's also at a plate. It's also gotten to a point where you can load up the box on the Ravens, and Lamar is just like, okay, like, I'm a competent passer now. Like, y'all can't go. Who y'all going one-on-one with? Like, Zay Flowers is supposed to be back, I think, and Mark Andrews has come to life. Isaiah Likely is still Isaiah Likely, and Lamar.
I mean, Rashad Bateman's really stepped up in that, that second wide receiver role. I mean, he had a touchdown last week. Yeah.
And again, Lamar, and you still got to account for Lamar's leg. So, yeah, like, you can do that all you want, and yeah, give me the Ravens. This just sucks that someone's going to have to lose this game.
Matt James.
Yeah, I mean, I had Baltimore from the beginning, and TJ said, and everybody's like, all right, why do we have to play this game in the divisional round? It's like, this is one of those where, I mean, Buffalo's 8-0 at home. Baltimore is starting to get things going. I'm going to obviously take Baltimore. Just feed Derrick Henry again and make Buffalo think, wear them down, do what you do. And, I mean, their defense is starting to come along. So Baltimore's going to be a tough out no matter where they're playing. So, nevermore. Give me Baltimore.
Nevermore. So in week 4, when these two teams played, Buffalo did not have Matt Milano, who's now back. He's a big-time leader of that defense. They also had not yet traded for Amari Cooper. And I know he hasn't really made a huge the difference many people thought he'd make on this offense, but he's still one of the best receivers in the NFL. And if they start to feature him a little bit more, I mean, look what they've done with Khalil Shakir and the Keon Coleman, the two tight ends, the way James Cook has been cooking over the last couple weeks. I'm going to take Buffalo. I know that's breaking news because I'm actually a closet Buffalo Bills fan. I just love the culture that they have. I wish I was at this game. I'm going to take Buffalo. But it's more than just a bias thing because that I like the Buffalo Bills. I'm a big fan of Josh Allen. I just think that when you look at the two teams on paper, they have the best player in the game. I mean, no disrespect to Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen is the best player, and he's the more important player to his team, which is why he should win the MVP. But Josh Allen is he just makes this go, and he just does things that we don't see quarterbacks do. And I know Lamar Jackson does some of that stuff too, but Josh Allen, I think, is on another level, and I think this is the season where he takes it. They finished the story, like Cody Rhodes did at WrestleMania 40 early last year in Philadelphia. I'm going to take the Bills. I think they finished the story. I think the Bills go to the Super Bowl this year. We'll see what prediction we do next week, but I'm going to take Buffalo. This is probably going to be the best game. I know we say this all the time, but this is going to be the best game of the year. It should be the best game of the year. It should be as advertised. It should be a gritty, interesting game. I think it's going to be two tough defenses going up against two tough offenses. And both these teams want to run the football. They establish the run, and then they opens up their passing game. Give me Buffalo. With that being,
the only thing you said wrong was Josh Allen, the best player in the game, because that's we not going to do that. We're not sure.
I think he's the best player in this football game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm allowed to be wrong. I mean, we'll see what happens when we actually see them on the football field. Maybe it doesn't work out that way. But in my opinion, Josh Allen's the best player in this game.
Yeah, he'll need to be. I mean, Baltimore's defense, as I said. But
we're not that far removed from Baltimore's defense getting trounced by a bunch of offenses, giving up a lot of yards in the passing game.
Yeah, but the last month or two, they've been going at it
better. Yeah, but they haven't really played anybody. I mean, they played a Texas team that barely showed up. I mean, they played a bad Steelers team. They played the bad Steelers team a couple times in this match. Their defense was giving up crazy numbers. Up until they went up against the Giants, Steelers, Texans, and then the Browns. I mean, come on.
I mean, this could be a shootout. You never know.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. But yeah, with that being said, that's been our. Wow, I didn't update this graphic. I hate when stuff like this happens. Give me a second. You don't know how much it drives me crazy. Becoming what I do for a living, I hate when stuff like that happens. Anyways, that's been our recap of Wild Card Weekend, that Monday Night Football edition, and we gave you our divisional round preview and predictions, and we gave you those shameless plugs over there at the dailyblitz.blog. And gentlemen, I'm David Huffman, TJ Hopkins, Matt James, and from the dailyblitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. Gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring
the heat,
baby, sir.
Let's go. We'll be back here tomorrow. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing tomorrow, but keep an eye out for all that content from Prime Sports World. And hopefully it gets a little bit warmer out here because it is 6 degrees right now in Fort Wayne. And I'm not enjoying the cold whatsoever. I had to drive to the BMV today to get a new title for my car and stuff. And I thought I might crash on the way because the roads were terrible, the driving was terrible, everything about it was just terrible. So if you have to travel tomorrow and snow and be safe, drive slow,
seriously, be safe.
Use some caution out there. We'll be back here tomorrow. You all have a good night. Stay safe out there. And now just a quick message from our sponsor here at the Huddle Sports Network. Peace out, guys.
All right, gentlemen.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.